Hey, Kate.
Hi, Jim.
How
What
you
a
doing?
day.
What a day. I know. I feel a little tired.
You had a lot of
It's like a little
conversations
workout.
today.
Yeah, I did.
Tell me some highlights.
Well, it was a really good way to get starter.
Yeah.
The little play on the words. The starter lounge is a blast. This is like another level. It's another level of people and excitement. Plus, it's my hometown right now, right? San Francisco. So that's especially cool.
Everybody seems so excited to be here.
They
and
are.
the starter house, too. We have like music blasting, everybody coming in and out. It's like it's just an exciting
how can you,
spot.
First of all,
Yeah.
people love to shop, right? What else? And, they get to design their own thing here.
Mm-hmm.
And starter stuff is so different and so special, right? I mean, there's nothing like a starter jacket. And
Look at ours.
Right. They're so
The
cool.
signature Super Bowl.
I know.
Okay, so I want to hear about your two conversations with Antone Barnes and with Jonathan Stewart. Let's start with Antone. He's such a change maker, but what resonated with you? He talked about supporting the individual. He talked about financial literacy. What?
Look, it's a hot topic, right? So especially with NIL coming on, so it's even a bigger topic for kids coming into college. Most of these kids they're trained to be athletes. They're not trained to be business people or whatnot. I think it's better than it used to be, but I think there is a challenge I thought, both conversations were symbiotic because you leave the NFL and let's say you've reached the pinnacle, gotten to the Super Bowl or the playoffs. What's it like to go back into regular life where you're selling real estate, and you're in the grind, and it's something they've been sheltered from to some degree. I mean, that was what a lot of I was getting from, both conversations really, that they're very regimented lives as, elite athletes at college, first high school, then college, then, the NFL and NBA or whatnot. But the point being, they don't really feel as prepared for the real world, as it were, because this isn't real. I mean, this is just not reality.
No, it's celebrity too, and then you have to go back to your hometown and figure out what you want to do with your life. For the majority, there's so many football players.
Right, everyone's pawing over you, but you know how this goes. Like, you're forgotten. Once you're back there, you're just a regular guy for the most part. So Anton's business is a really interesting business where he, helps these guys make that transition successfully. He talked about doing it with Vernon Davis, who's a local, right? He was San Francisco 49er. We've worked with him, Diageo, on the Smirnoff brand, I think a couple other brands, but he's a great example of somebody who's, I didn't even get into this with our second guest because, I understand he's not only a photographer, but he's into painting and other things. I just didn't get it. We can't get into all the stuff we want to get into in a much shorter format like this.
What was cool, though, with the other guest, Jonathan, was that
Jonathan Stewart.
Jonathan Stewart played in the Super Bowl 10 years ago, the 50th.
Right, that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Cool to go down memory lane about that.
And you said he had some big point.
He had the only touchdown that the Carolina Panthers scored against the Denver Broncos. Denver beat them pretty handily, but he was the only one who scored in that game. So the lesson here, because we're in the backdrop of the Super Bowl, the reality is, we talk about get real. The reality is that it's not what the public thinks it is, and it's not what it's cracked up to be. They deal with a lot of the same crap that everybody else deals with, and in some ways it's more pronounced because they're so deified, right, and pedestaled for so long, and then they're not. And, what's life like after that?
How do they get real about life when they're out of the routine, back to living a normal existence? Yeah.
Well, everything's going to be all right is sort of, how
That
Jonathan
was his
put it.
song.
That was his song. He thinks that that's the soundtrack to his life, and that's great, because I think he does have an optimist view, an entrepreneur's view, but I'm sure it's not like that for everybody.
This is such an exciting day.
Okay, we're here at the Starter Lounge. We pulled in Antone Barnes from the street, man on the street.
Going to the gym.
Thank you for coming. Yeah, I'm sorry we got you in the middle. Hey, you know what? It's good. We like to talk about health here, so you were being healthy. So we're very excited to be. All right, everyone, we're back in the starter lounge, getting real with Jim Weiss. I'm excited. We pulled in Antone Barnes, founder, owner, CEO
There you go.
of Brand Architects, based in
Washington, D.C.
Washington, D.C., which is great. You came a long way.
Yeah, I'm jet lagged. I'm feeling
Are
it
you?
now.
Yeah.
I
We
literally
caught
landed.
you, working out.
Exactly.
So
I'm trying to.
I do appreciate it. So knowing that you're in that outfit, we were going to put you in one of these for
That's
the,
what I
for the
need,
show, right?
'cause you guys
Everyone
got me
has to
looking-
wear a starter jacket. As you see, I have my, Syracuse
And it's
vintage.
amazing product.
All right,
I
hold
definitely
on.
need
Yes,
that.
isn't it? Third up.
There we
Let's stand up. It's like the green jacket.
There we go. All right, now I'm a little more presentable. There we go. Wasn't really fitting the vibe.
Well, I'm excited to talk to you
That
because
jersey.
I think you do something so relevant to what is happening here at the game. So, obviously the Super Bowl is about the big game, but there's so much more we get to do now in the days and even weeks leading up to it. So tell us a little bit about what Brand Architects does. What's the mission? What's the why? Why'd you get in it?
Well, the reason why I started the Brand Architects, I started this company about 15 years ago. Prior to that, I was a top record executive in the music industry. So I worked with Rockefeller Records, Loud Records, Universal Motown, a number of big time artists. And being on that side of the industry, I met a lot of athletes. Like I actually worked the Allen Iverson project, the Kobe Bryant project, a number of other ones. And I would have conversations with athletes. Back then, we were the gatekeepers to the artists. Like, you didn't have social media.
Right.
So a lot of the top athletes wanted to go get the VIP treatment when Nelly or somebody was in town. So they had to go through me. So I would meet people all the time. And one person in particular, Vernon Davis. We established a
we
great
know
relationship.
Vernon
Very,
Davis.
very well. Great guy.
We had Star Power work with him on Smirnoff with Diageo. He's awesome. I've spent some time at a couple Super Bowls with him.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I mean, I was at the playoff game when he went crazy with Alex Smith, so I still remember those days.
That's right. And I'm a 49er guy, too. We're here.
Yeah.
Here in the Bay.
Hey, listen, they almost made it. They had so many injuries.
Almost.
They almost there all the time. So you can never sleep on the 49ers.
So how'd you get connected to Vernon Davis?
So, just being in a lot of the same nightclubs and being in the same ring, and I would have conversations with him. And Vernon was always unique, which is what I love about him. He was like, Antone, I want to be known for more than just being a fast athlete, a fast tight end, or whatever. There's other things I want to do, like painting. I'm like, well,
wow,
who's doing that for you? And he's like, well, my agent. Nobody really was doing it. So I marinated on it some time because at the time I was like, okay, well, maybe we'll do something later. About 9 months later, I decided to walk away from the music industry because it was affecting my mental health, to be honest with you. Yeah, I mean, a lot of people want to get in the music industry and think it's all fun and games, and it's not.
It's not.
I have 3 good friends that committed suicide, making a lot of money.
So what's going on there? What is the reason? Pressure, yeah.
You got pressure, and then also it's a very cutthroat industry. You really don't have any friends. You really don't. And that right there creates a lot of pressure, because you don't know who to trust. But then also the competition back then was intense. Labels, we were spending millions of dollars to get 5 more spins than another artist.
Right.
So, and I saw the similarities in sports. So when I walked away, I took about a year off. And I thought about, okay, how does this really match with sports? We would basically have an artist who sold millions of records that we talked about on the conference call. Next week, we're going to talk about them. They're irrelevant. And I saw the similarities in sports. Like, okay, if you blow your knee out, what do you do? And who's helping you with that transition mentally to prepare yourself for when the league is done with you? Because a lot of these guys have been taught just to be athletes since they were 10, 11, 12 years old. Okay? They have no idea on what they could possibly be outside of sports. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to start this company. And, Vernon was my first guy. We started an interior design company.
What a really great guy to get started with. That's kind of starting on top, right?
It really was. And
that's what you need to get a business going.
Yeah, you do. You do, especially your own business. I didn't want to work for nobody again.
Yeah, I hear
I'm
you.
not doing that.
I relate.
No, I've been there, done that, and always had the entrepreneurship. So at the Brand Architects, that was our main thing. Like, okay, let's get athletes not to be known as athletes anymore.
Right.
Okay, let's highlight them painting, cooking, whatever it is, because there's going to come a day where you cannot perform as an athlete and that transition happens. And the problem with a lot of these guys is that they deal with identity crisis. And I'm sure you know what that means.
Oh, yeah, 100%. Yeah.
They don't know how to identify it. You know, they're like, okay, they don't have any, but they've had someone tell them where to go, what to do, how to do it.
They've gotten a lot of support, right?
So
now you got to get out there and
and
maybe some of them didn't finish college, you know, and that's another issue, right? So,
and a lot of the people that were around are gone now. So it's like, okay, how do I prepare myself mentally, but not just mentally? We educate them on how to, you know, formulate LLCs, get their own 501c3s, not donor advised, get your own foundations. Okay, let's get your own business entities. Let's get you media talking about cooking, not how many tackles you had. Okay, let's explore those other entities of who you are that you've always been curious about, but no one's ever been there to draw it out of them.
Right.
You see what I mean? Like a lot of times people want to subside that.
And how does an athlete find you? Like, is it all word of mouth? I mean, are you marketing it? I mean, what are you doing?
A lot of times word of mouth, and then just the work we do. I like to let our work speak for itself. You know, this is rare for me, but a lot of my clients are like, you need to get out and talk more.
Yeah, you do.
Because one thing about me, I don't sugarcoat how real this industry is. Okay.
Yeah.
And, you know, I focus on the player, and that's all we care about.
So you listen to what they want to build, become, help them become their own entrepreneur.
Yes.
Give me an example. So you have the Vernon Davis one. Give me an example lately. Like
Rodney McLeod.
Okay.
Rodney McLeod was a 13-year NFL veteran, won the Super Bowl with the Eagles, won the first one with them.
Yep.
And literally Rodney, he retired last year. The Browns wanted him to come back. Now, Rodney wasn't the biggest safety, the fastest safety, but he was the smartest.
Yeah.
Okay? So Rodney always had a thing about fashion. So instead of him wearing other people's clothing line, we started his own clothing line back of house 4 years ago. But then also Rodney is very intelligent. Rodney knew coming into the league because he was an undrafted free agent, okay, coming into St. Louis. He knew he always had a chip on his shoulder, but he always knew that, okay, I need to start planting seeds now for what I'm going to do when I'm done. And he wanted to get in the broadcaster. So I would always get him on the other side of the mic. And with that, him being able to plant that seed, he had a job for ESPN. Literally, he didn't skip a Sunday, basically putting it to you like that.
Right.
Like he broadcast college game days every weekend now. So last year, he was on the football field. This year, he's in the booth broadcasting college
That's
games.
incredible.
So he didn't skip a beat. Okay, I mean, I have Amir Abdullah that's going to be here tomorrow. I mean, he's flying in tonight. Amir wants to get into TV production. You know, he's an 11-year veteran. So
nice.
I have him talking to movie and TV producers, you know, actors. Like, you know, I don't care about football. I'll be honest with you. I haven't been to a game.
Because you didn't play,
I don't care
right?
about that.
Yeah.
I don't care. I didn't go to the Super Bowl last year. I had Hines play. I haven't been to a game in 7 years because I really don't care about the NFL. I don't. I care about the individual.
Right.
And how we could use the NFL.
How do you monetize that?
I mean, we have mutual
some percentage
percentage, but then we also have retainer fees that are comfortable within their client
Right.
because that's something else that we teach them, how they write that off. You need a lot of stuff. You guys are making some money. You need to learn how to write some stuff off.
Right.
So we teach them that also, that message.
Do you pick them up as they're leaving the league or, you know, before that or it's just all over the map?
I got Nakobe Dean his rookie year.
Wow. Do we think we're now going to have to do this for college kids?
I mean, it's getting the NIL. That's another topic that you're talking.
Because you're talking about people forget coming out of college, coming out of
you got kids coming out of high school getting NIL.
Yeah.
I got a 16-year-old that's getting $1 million worth of NIL proposals in high school. But see, a lot of times too, they don't have the financial etiquette and the financial literacy.
No.
To know, and their parents don't. And it's like, okay, there's no fault of it. My thing is like,
do you deal with a lot of parents or not?
Oh yeah,
I bet you do.
Yeah, but the thing is too, though, I don't want them to be dependent on me. I want to teach them.
Right.
See what I mean?
What
There's
it
a
sounds
difference.
like, yeah.
Like you don't want to.
Well, you're saying architect, right? Is that purposeful,
There you go.
right? So
There
that's
you
why
go.
it's not. You're not necessarily holding their hand through the whole thing.
No, I don't want to be holding your head for 10 years.
Yeah.
You know, then I failed at my job.
Okay.
But then also too, I want them to have, like when they do interviews, we do their media. So let's say if you're interviewing one of my guys,
Yes.
I want you to tell me what you're going to talk to them about.
Right.
See what I mean?
Exactly. And they're not going to ask these curveball questions.
No, you're not.
And
You're
put
going to
him on
talk
the
about
spot.
his businesses. You're going to talk about his foundation. You're going to talk about what he wants to do off the. Talk about the person. Because I'll be honest with you, you'll get a better interview when you get personal with them.
Exactly.
Okay, they get tired of talking about X's and O's.
Right.
They get bored. It's like, okay, seriously, we got to talk about this again. So a lot of it, there's a lot of behind the scenes work and a lot of prep that goes behind it as well. In order to create value and retain clients I've had clients for 10 years.
I've had clients for 20.
See what I mean?
You know,
so you
client
know the
longevity
value.
is what it's about.
That's what it's about.
You know, you have to stay fresh.
Yeah.
With these clients. They're
You
not
do.
going to keep you around if you're not bringing them good ideas,
You're
I
right.
would imagine.
You're right.
But they have ideas they come to you with, and you help them live
There
their
you
dream
go.
out.
But we also help them evolve as well, too.
Right.
That's the biggest thing. I think that's the most important thing that I take personal. I want to see them evolve as men.
Yeah.
Okay? There comes a cutoff time when you can evolve as an athlete. Okay? And that's what, 30-something years old? You're still a young man.
So with the advent of the WNBA and other women's sports, are you going to have some women clients? You have any yet?
Not yet. Working on it.
All right,
Working
good.
on it.
Yeah,
Definitely
that'll be
working
good
on it.
because
you know,
women are smarter from
they're
what I
very
hear.
Well, we have a client, Jonathan Casillas, who's one of our clients. We're starting a female flag football league because flag football, as we all know, is going to be in the Olympics.
Yes.
We're about to start a league in Puerto Rico.
So it's breaking out.
There you go.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, let's think ahead of the curve.
Yeah.
Okay, let's not be a part of the curve.
I'm really committed to that. Last question, and then this is it. I always ask this. What do you really want to get real about with me today? Leave us with something you want to get real about.
Let's be real about the individuals, not the athletes. Let's be real about what they need, not what the industry needs. You see what I mean?
Do what's best for their health,
what's best
mental
for them.
and physical. Yeah.
They're the product.
Yep.
There's no NFL without them.
That's right.
Okay.
Right.
See, people have it misconstrued. They have it confused. Okay. And that's one thing we tell our guys.
I really appreciate it and appreciate you. I'm so glad you came in.
And we're going to be in contact.
All right. We will. I know. All right. So excited to do this. Thank you.
Yeah,
Jonathan. Man. It's really cool that you are going to spend a few minutes with us here. So you're coming all the way from Charlotte.
Yep.
To
Charlotte,
San
North
Francisco.
Carolina.
So pretty amazing that you were here. Is it exactly 10 years
It's
ago?
exactly 10
That
years.
you scored the only touchdown
For the Carolina
Panthers
Yeah.
in the Super Bowl number 50.
Yep.
Now we're at 60. I mean, I can really start to track my age.
Me too.
by
That's basically how I track how old I am. based
Okay,
off of
what are
the
you,
Super Bowl.
35?
I'm 38.
Yeah, okay.
So,
Yeah, you look good.
28 years old. I was here, with the dream in mind of winning the Super Bowl.
Of course, yeah.
But, making it to the Super Bowl and 10 years passed. I finally gotten to the point where I feel I've always felt grateful, but I really have a sense of gratitude for being able to accomplish that. Being able to score a touchdown in the Super Bowl is also awesome as well.
What's it mean to be back in San Francisco, commemorating 10 years since you were here playing in the Super Bowl?
It means a lot. I didn't really think about it before I left. My wife was actually saying, this is for full circle. She was explaining it to our daughters because obviously they weren't born. I have two daughters, Kaya and Nora.
How old are they?
One's going on 9, one's 5 years old.
Sweet.
So they weren't around when I was playing football, really. So my wife was explaining to them, Daddy's going to San Francisco he's on a little work trip, and it's a full circle moment because Daddy, last time there was a football game he attended there, he was in the Super Bowl.
But it was a work trip then, too, right?
It was definitely a work trip there, and we didn't necessarily do a good job at our work to come away with a victory. But I do have a sense of gratitude. 10 years removed. At some point you do have to pick up the pieces and say, you know what? Not a lot of people get the chance to score a touchdown in the Super Bowl.
No, we're going to make you feel good about that because, we're in the starter lounge and we have to start always by putting you in uniform.
Oh, yeah. Get me right.
Jonathan Taylor, big run. There he goes.
What's it like to play in the Super Bowl? I mean, take out the result, let's not worry about that. Is it like surreal?
It is a little bit surreal. And, you prepare all your life to reach the pinnacle, to reach that opportunity, to reach, the glory, I guess, right?
I mean, there's nothing bigger, right,
There's
in your
nothing
field.
bigger than the Super Bowl. I mean, you can really kind of match it up against other sports and still say there's nothing like winning a Super Bowl. You got 11 guys on your team going against another 11 guys, and
That's
everybody
it.
has to be on the same page, not just in that game, but the preparation leading up to, and everything that you've done that's gotten you to that point in that season, right? And then you can stack it upon previous seasons after previous seasons, draft, free agency, coaching, scheme, all the things, injuries. It all amounts to being in that moment. And only thing I can say about the Super Bowl is it's like climbing a mountain. Coach Rivera, he explained it perfectly. And when I heard him say it in an interview, I was like, wow, that's exactly it. And it's like climbing a mountain. And once you get up there, you're going to be super satisfied. And that you've got all the resources, you got everything that you need on your buckle, on your strap to get you to that mountain, to get you all the way to the top. And then the moment that you get up there, you realize, oh, there's a peak. I don't have the tools for that. And so there's disappointment, right? And I think, a lot of guys, I was with Luke and Greg, a couple months ago, and we were just talking about, the Super Bowl, and this being the anniversary year of us getting there, and we kind of talked about it here and there, certain interviews and stuff like that. And I haven't not yet watched the full episode, the actual full game.
I can see why you might not want
I've watched glimpses here and there from like things that I see on TV, little snippets that people tag me in on social media. But there's something about really coming to grips. I'm not ready to come to grips with it yet. I mean,
okay, so you still haven't. Okay, yeah. You're in,
but there's a process, right? It's like grieving almost.
Yeah.
Because it means that much to you.
Yeah.
You play this game because you want to win. You play this game because God blessed you with a platform to be able to encourage and entice people to do something greater, to do something bigger than themselves, and that feeling of like letting a city down, the feeling of letting that kid that had your jersey since you were drafted down. And it's and part of healing is it's just coming to grips, but also having those experiences with the fans that remember those days, right? That's why it's cool to have the 10-year anniversary to where you can talk about it and people can reminisce and people can, give you a little round of applause here for just doing the things that you did do during that time, because it does help healing, right? And I think that's not talked about enough for a lot of guys that spend countless years, moments, chasing this thing and then not coming up with it, especially the guys that are right there.
Right. I would imagine it's hard both ways. I was going to ask you, what's it like 10 years later, you're no longer playing. That's and everything. How do you make the transition from that reality to where you are in the real world now? Because, my podcast is about getting real. It must be, is it like getting cold water splashed on your face, or what's it like, to leave it?
I would say it's like a water hose, drinking out of a water hose. There's a lot that, you're not necessarily prepared for because you're football every single day.
We were just talking about that with somebody.
Your schedules align towards being the best football player, being the best teammate that you can possibly be. And
you're in the best shape of your life, probably, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So your mind's ticking differently, your sleep's operating differently. So you're in tip-top shape, and your mind, for what it's worth and for what you're operating on all cylinders, right? And it doesn't until you remove yourself from, having the schedule, having everything be essentially about you. Like, whatever I ate, whatever I said yes or no to, all surrounded itself around my practice, my preparation in the off season, and my games. So you think about, the timeline of having to dedicate yourself to a craft, and then all of a sudden it be stripped away. We have to figure out ways to be there for those guys that struggle. And it has been a struggle. Part of it is towards the latter end of your career, you have to be real with yourself.
Yeah.
You can't sit here and chase ghosts, and you have to let reality sink in that everything comes to an end, bad and good. And so, for me, luckily I had, people in my corner. I had my mentors. I had my business partners that kind of prepared me for this exit. And even with preparation, like I'm thinking to myself, oh, I'm going to go into real estate. And then I get into real estate, and then it's like, oh, I like business. So now everything business that, circulates around real estate now becomes a whole nother opportunity. So you're in this moment of like, yeah, I have access to things, but it's overwhelming. It's
Really?
overwhelming.
But wait, so football was too. Do you think there's stuff that you learned playing football that helped you make this transition and become successful?
I mean, it's discipline, right?
Yeah.
You take what you're used to and what you're accustomed to as far as, finding your schedule. That's the biggest part. When you retire, you have to figure out like what's gonna motivate me to do the next thing. And working out, I know how to work out, and so I wake up every morning.
Right, you're doing a pretty intense regimen now, right?
Yeah, so I just finished up a 28-day challenge, which is my
tell us
number is
about that.
28.
Oh,
but, but circulating around Romans 8:28, and it's all about finding that zap, and if everything works together, you have to start off on the right foot. And I think, being a football player, we always started on the right foot. You wake up earlier than anybody in the city.
Yeah,
And
right.
then you get to the stadium and you eat breakfast. You fellowship. You prepare for your day. You work out. You stretch. You get rehab. You take care of your body, because the thing that God gave you is your body, the temple. So you take care of that. Now you feel accomplished. And then the next thing you do is you take care of your family, right? That's what I have access to now at a 38-year-old, that a lot of people at 38 don't have access to.
No.
Right?
You're young, and yeah.
And so being able to do that, show up in phases, take my kids to school, be there for them when I, later in the day, and hanging out with them, playing Barbies, doing all those types of things. And you're finding your purpose by just doing the things that are in front of you, right?
And you've stayed close to the game, right?
Yeah.
You're in your profession.
So now I've gotten to the, it took me a while to realize I've never really been a person that talks. You ask the media in Charlotte, Jonathan Stewart's doing a podcast now? He never talked to us when he was playing.
So is the podcast focused on, do you have it specifically focused on a certain thing?
So I do several podcasts. I do stuff for Believe Network that covers sports, and so Oregon Ducks and the Carolina Panthers, and then I do one for the Panthers, the actual team. It's called Stu and the Crew.
No, that's cool.
And so I basically have guys that I played with, older Panther players that people recognize and love, have them come on the pod, and we talk about what they're doing, what they're into now, and memory lane and those types of things. And then I have one with Kenyon Barner, who played for the Oregon Ducks as well. And we do one called Ducks of a Feather. And so it's really cool, because that to me is really what made me like podcasting, is that interaction that I have with him. That's what it's all about. It's about this.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like I'm in a living room right now.
Yeah.
And we're just hanging out.
You are.
And we're, we have, similar interests. We have similar takes. And sometimes we don't have similar takes. And that's cool. And it helps you stretch. It helps you grow.
Yeah.
So that's what I love most about, podcasting is, you get a chance to not only challenge yourself, but you get a chance to get to know other people on a deeper understanding.
That's what I'm loving about
and
it.
you're doing a service to them, and to the fanship that's, responding, of bringing connection, right?
Yeah.
How do we bring connection, and what type of connection is that?
So my audience is very much B2B corporate, right? It's guys that listen to me are thinking about how they're going to promote their brands. When you're thinking about how you want to do that using your cloud and image and accomplishments, what do you look for? What do you look for in a brand partnership? I mean, what kind of things are you looking to? And that could also mean nonprofits as much as profits, because I'm sure a lot of people come after you. So,
Oh yeah, I mean, it's all about alignment, right? What do you believe in, and what do you stand for? It's one thing to believe, because you can believe quietly, but standing, it's a physical thing, and sometimes you're called to be, front facing on those types of, involvements and interactions. So a lot of it's alignment with all of that, right? Because you can't truly be yourself if you're not aligned. You can't truly take someone who's in their car and relate to them unless you're being honest.
yeah.
Right. And so, the partnerships and whatnot, and, the guests that you might have on a podcast. And I even think about, like, I'm an entrepreneur as well. So the investment space, like, that's where I'm really thriving. And so when you talk about trusting someone with your capital, trusting someone with, a vision, it all comes down to alignment. Like, can I be so honest with you to ask you the questions that I have to make me feel comfortable?
Oh, you better, right? Yeah.
And if I don't feel that energy, then it's probably not a good deal for me to invest with you. It might be a good investment, but just not for me.
I mean, I feel that way. I think if you do anything for the numbers or the money, it usually, anything I've ever done for the money has gone wrong.
Oh,
if that's the purpose,
or it makes you feel good in the moment,
right?
But it better than anybody. Feeling good is not the result.
No way. no way.
That is so temporary.
So what do you do in health? I mean, how, this is the focus. A lot of my podcast is on prevention and longevity, and you're a young guy, so you probably aren't thinking about this as much, but maybe you are.
It. So when I retired, I became a member at Carmel Country Club. Shout out to Carmel Country Club in Charlotte, North Carolina.
Charlotte.
I'm a huge golfer.
Oh, cool.
Huge.
So am I. I like it.
I love it. And that's part of my health journey. Mental, physical.
Because you're outside.
We're outside, we're in nature, walking around, chasing my ball. But when I work out now, I work out with golf on my mind.
Wow.
So I'm
That's
training
crazy.
to golf.
Did you play golf when you were playing?
I mean,
When did you pick it up?
But not like this,
Yeah.
right? And so I'm in there in the mornings early, getting my trunk twists, making sure my abs are good and everything's strengthened. So I definitely make sure that, my health journey is, the main center of my beginning stages of my day. So I get up, work out, make sure I eat good, make sure that, my mental clarity is good, my walk with God's good. And, if I have that, then I feel like I've had some success.
So it sounds like religion's a good part of your life, right? And your mental health. I mean, I can relate to that too. I always like to talk about it. How does that help? Has it always been there for you?
It's always been, the forefront. I believe that if you believe that God's taking you through the ringer, right? Or things aren't going as planned, but you believe in a higher calling, right? You believe in God's kingdom, right? You believe in God's glory. Like, this is, like, if we think about it, I'm just a speck of sand in the day in which I'm living right now. And the same for you.
Oh, for sure.
And so who am I to say, or complain about the life that I was blessed with? right? So I owe everything to God, especially this day and age. There's so much to get lost in,
Yeah.
and so many different, distractions that come your way. And if you find any alignment in anything, it has to be something, and that something is God. So finances, entertainment, family structure, friendships, business trips, my yeses and my nos all circulate around the alignment and attunement with God.
Yeah. Well, you got to have a filter,
Yeah.
or you do everything, and we
Yeah.
can't do everything.
Can't.
So I always ask one question. Well, I actually ask a few questions at the end of all my podcasts, but there's one I want to ask you. If there was a soundtrack, a record for your life, what would that be?
Don't Worry About a Thing, Bob Marley.
Nice. Love that.
Yeah.
Oh, my friends are going to love that one. I got a lot of friends that are
Yeah.
going to love to hear that.
Don't worry about a
Win
thing.
I know. My boy DB, I wish he was here right now to hear this.
Right. But, and it's such a simple message, but it's true.
Yeah.
And even when things
Feels
aren't-
that way with
and
you, yeah.
everything's not going well, it's never that bad.
Okay. I can't believe you're only 38 the way you're putting it across. You seem like an older soul.
I do have an old soul.
You got that.
I got that
All
old
right. Well,
soul.
come back again. This was great.
Yeah, man, thanks for
I'm
having
really
me out,
glad
man.
to
Yeah,
meet you, man.
No doubt. Nice to meet you
Thanks.
as well.
Yeah. Hey everyone, thanks for joining me on the Get Real podcast. I hope you feel a little healthier hanging out with me. It's going to be a lot of fun passing this along to others. Please subscribe below. Please share. I'm excited not just to talk about healthcare, but a lot of other fun topics. It's about making healthy talk about healthcare. It's not a lecture. This is supposed to be fun, and look forward to spending more time with you in the future.